We are live. So if you are here for the first time and maybe you're thinking like, who is this guy and whatnot, who's Mr. Branzino? But I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey of becoming a dad cook. But first, you're probably here because you were like, what dad cook? And you saw in the title or the description saying something about, you know, going from takeout to becoming a dad cook. And I'm going to, I'm sure that you're one of those, maybe someone who is struggling with that. Maybe you're struggling with, your kids are eating tater tots and buttered noodles all the time and you're eating like a full meal. Or maybe you're struggling with like, that there's better food out there, there's better options, and you just don't know how to like get around it. Or maybe you're at the, maybe you're just feeling the burn of the economy and you're dealing with, the fact that like things are getting a lot more expensive. So you're just you're trying to figure out ways to be like, how do I rein this in a little bit more? So, I'm here. I'm going to be talking about my journey. I'm Mr. Branzino. I've been cooking for about 21 years, three of which I've been a dad cook. And I have obviously this channel. I also have uh, I have a course called Meal Machine OS. It's a 7-day course to be able to help you become a dad cook. And I also, I'm writing at my newsletter at mrbranzino.com/substack.com. Sorry. You can find everything at mrbranzino.com. Anyway, so let's get into the story of how I became a dad cook. All right. So like most dads that I know of, it's freaking scary the first time you have a kid. I think that there's no dad, no matter how resilient you are and tough you are and cool you are, it's very overwhelming in a certain way. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to think about and worry about, and it's just new. Everything is just completely new. So, and I was definitely in that camp. It was during the pandemic and I was definitely having feelings of like, oh my God, how am I gonna do this? And how are we gonna manage this? And just a lot was going on. Like we ended up, having to move during the middle of the pregnancy. And that was a huge issue because I had to do most of it because I couldn't have Mrs. Branzino doing a lot of that work. And then it was just a lot of like, what are we doing? And, like most people, I would say, we live in an area where we're here because of somewhat because of family, but also because of economic opportunity. And I think a lot of people are very much away from their families, and so there's a lot of feeling of like loneliness and like we're doing this on our own. We obviously have support and had people in our lives like calling us all the time and talking to us, so that was like never an issue. But I think it was just like there's a lot going on. And as soon as it and obviously like as a person I mentioned before that has cooked, I've been cooking for 21 years. Like I like cooking, I love food more than anything. But when you're a couple, like it's just easy to go out, it's easy to kind of enjoy. We spent a lot of time being like, oh, we're not going to get to go out and we're going to be sleepless nights and all these things, so we should try to like eat out as much as we can. And we're in SoCal and there's just like this is the food capital of the US. So, I think that there's like an element here of we I didn't do much cooking, but I did do some freezer meals. I put some things together just in case. And then boom, like we start having, we have the little Branzino, our life is turned upside down. And it's like it is what it is. And it was, but it was also euphoric and the adrenaline was pumping. And we had like all these people coming to visit us and they were bringing us food and they were just like love and support. And it was just like this pouring of like love and attention. And effectively at the end, like after like a week or so, that kind of wore off, or a week or two, it wore off. And then we were like, oh crap, like we're on our own and there's no return policy with a kid. So you're just like, oh, we got to do this and we got to figure out the schedules and how are we going to do this? And, I didn't really have to think about food or what to cook or whatever. I was typically the one that cooked in the house. So it just was like, oh, we had all this, food stacked up and my mom cooked and people were dropping off food and it was like absolutely beautiful. And we were so blessed to able to have that. But we didn't, there was just like no one there around us. And other cultures around the world and other parts of the world, usually, most people live like near their family. They live near aunts and uncles, and they live near moms and sisters and dads and brothers. They live like near each other, cousins, all near, like, and they support each other. And especially in other parts of the world, like, there's like the first 40 days after a pregnancy is like the woman's just staying at home and recovering and recuperating, and everyone's there to support her and staying in the house. And it's just like, it's just different. And it's just like everyone I know, basically they have a kid, especially, and they're living in these coastal cities, they're by themselves and they don't have their parents around, and they don't have people around them to help them. So I was really determined that, like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna, I wanted to be able to be, I had to help. I couldn't leave it all to Mrs. Branzino. So I had to kind of like, do as much as I could, whether it was like doing laundry or cleaning the dishes, or I don't know, doing stuff. I was just doing more, so that I could help to make things easier. And so one of the ways I thought I could help is like, oh, let me just get takeout. It's just so easy. Let me just do takeout. And it was just like, we had our restaurants, and because we had been going out so much, it was so easy to just be like, oh, that Thai restaurant, we love Thai food. So I was like, oh, we'll go get Thai food and come back, and we'll get enough for like a day or so. We have like for lunch and whatever. And like, obviously little Branzino wasn't eating because it was just having milk, but the still, the point was like, I was just going out. I was like, I'm being helpful. I'm just doing something to be productive. And I think a lot of fathers and dads have this issue where they kind of like, they want to be able to help, but they don't know how. And so like, there was like a way for me to be like, what I could do here. So I was doing this and it just seemed easy, and it was just like, easy, why not? Easy is good right now. Convenience is good. We're going to optimize for convenience. But it started kind of getting to a point where, like, after a month or 2 months of doing this, the fridge starts like bursting with takeout boxes, like a lot of takeout boxes. And you probably saw that in the thumbnail. There were all these takeout boxes, and it just was like piling up. I don't have a lot of space in our fridge. And I had like family members say, oh, we'll buy you another fridge. Let's get it. You should get another fridge, or get that garage fridge. And we're like, we don't have space. We don't, whatever. It was just too much. Right. And then not only it was just like piling up, it was just like kind of looking like I couldn't fit enough of what the takeout was doing. We weren't consuming it fast enough. And it was just like, we couldn't use all the takeout food, and it just was like getting out of hand. And then more importantly, I was like looking at our budget and like what we were spending. It was like, what the hell? Like, we're spending lots of money. Let's just say lots and lots and lots of money. Because every time you go, you get DoorDash, you go get one of those like meal delivery apps like Uber Eats, or even if you go pick it up, like you're going to still, drop the tip, and you're gonna do that. You're gonna have to drive there, and gasoline, and that's expensive. Everything just starts getting expensive. We're burning hole in our pocket, doing this. Let me take a sip of coffee. So, it was getting kind of crazy. So I was also, at this time, I was starting my exercise journey and fitness journey, just because I was like, I gotta be in better shape for little Branzino and for my family. And I need to stay, right. I need to be around as long as I can. So I was working out with my trainer, and this is the beginning of that journey. And I was like I was doing burpees, like I was doing like 100. I was trying to get to like 100 pump burpees, which is like you're doing a push up at the end. And I was panting. I was just like completely out of breath. And he told me something, which, I mean, it's so inconsequential. If probably to him was inconsequential what he said to me, but to me it was like really, really powerful, which was that he just like, you're in control. And that was like, oh. And I said, what? He says, you're in control of your breath. You're in control. So I took a deep breath, calmed down, and then I just kind of like went back in it. And that day I got to 100 burpees, 101 pump burpees, which was like a huge achievement for me because I was like very out of shape. But I was, wanted to continue on that journey. And it just kind of dawned on me, like, no one gives an AF. No one gives AF about the fact that we don't have people around us. No one gives an, I'm just going to say the F word. No one gives a fuck that we like, don't have, friends and family to help us, do all these different things, and no one gives a crap if like, I'm burning money through my wallet, like, and I'm complaining, I'm upset about it, or I'm concerned about it. Like, it was up to me. I'm responsible. I'm the one. I was in control. I'm in control of the situation, and I let it get out of control. And so, I decided to take action. I decided, like, look, this is getting out of hand with our fridge. This is getting out of hand with spending all this money. While, it was okay, we could afford it. It was still not like okay. Like, it wasn't like how I was brought up, and it wasn't how Mrs. Branzino was brought up too. So I just wanted to reclaim the kitchen. I wanted to take it over, take it back to, like, I wanted to own it. I wanted to be like, this is my new laboratory. This is my workshop. This is the place I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to cook consistently, and I'm going to reduce our spend, and I'm going to provide for my family and protect my family from all this crappy food that's out there, and all these, like, when you're doing takeout too, like, everything's in plastic, and heat against plastic is not good for you with all those phthalates and all those things that are out there. It's like you're just harming your family in a certain way, and it just sort of like was necessary. It was necessary for me to just, like, say, look, I'm in control of the situation. And it's so random, right? It's so random. Like, the times when you're like, oh, it's like, you're working out and you're out of breath. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going to, I'm going to take control of my kitchen. But that's how it works sometimes, right? That was like my turning point for me, and where I kind of really dialed in and try to get serious about it. And so the way I got serious and about this was that, I like I basically cleared out a bunch of, like, all the takeout boxes. We got new Tupperware, like glass Tupperware. I made space for like spices. I got rid of a bunch of crap in the pantry and old things that were expired, like in the pantry and whatnot. And I got, like, containers. I don't have I use like leftover. I use the containers from the takeout. And I, labeled them. And I was like, hey, this is rice, and this is our pasta, and this is that. And I kind of like organized it because I was like, okay, a clean slate. Let's just know, like, what we have here, and let's try to, like, get this zeroed in. And then I just started, I went to go shopping, and I was like, okay, well, what's on sale? How are we going to, do the things that, like, my grandmother did, or what my mom did, which was to, like, go find, like, those ingredients in the store that are, like, nutritious and healthy, and just try to, like, and also, like, things that are cheap and on sale, like, and just use that as my base for what I was going to cook that day. And maybe something that was thematic, or maybe it was seasonal, and I committed to being like, look, I'm going to go to the farmer's market every week, and we're going to get our vegetables from here, hell or high water. This is where we're going to get it. Even if we're going to pay a little bit more, this is important, because it's this, like, kind of the ritual of doing it puts you in the headspace of, like, hey, I'm making this as a commitment. This is part of my life now. And I just started to transform into what I'm calling a dad cook. And I think a dad cook is someone that does believe that they can take control. They can make dinner for their family, and they could take back control of the crap that's being fed to their kids, and, schedules and all those things. I believe that as a dad cook, it's your job to protect and provide for your family. And the way you can do that is by cooking, and it's by showing up in the kitchen. It's by putting, you know, not only sourcing good ingredients and good food for your family, but, like, you're providing for them in a way that is, like, not only just nourishing them today, but nourishing them for life. You're going to give them, strong bones and strong cells and all these things that they can grow, your children and everyone can grow really well. And I think that the fact that what cooking kind of did is, it, like, before having kids, I didn't really have, I mean, we had some consistency with schedules, but, you're single, you don't have to be consistent with schedules. So I think the constraint of, like, sleep times and all those things, but, like, cooking is a very, like, to show up every day, and to show up and have, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and have that ready for the family. There's an element of project management. There's an element of, like, coordinating your time, prioritizing your time. And I'm able to get done, my work. I'm able to go work out. I'm able to actually cook. I'm able to spend time with my kid. I'm able to spend time with my my Mrs. Branzino, and it all kind of like works out right in this way because I'm like very methodical about like I'm taking control of this, and this is how we're gonna be able to like show up, and I make sure that we eat every day together between 5 and 6 o'clock, and the food's ready, and there's no like waiting around. There's no temper tantrums before dinner. And today, like we don't have a situation where little Branzino is like, oh, I just want buttered pasta, or I don't want to eat that. Like, he's eating everything. And I think that and not everything all the time, but for the most part, he is. And so I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud of the fact that like I can provide for little Branzino that way. I think that the other thing is that um, I I feel like this is a way for me, to demonstrate, it's a way for me to demonstrate care and generosity too. I think that that's a thing that us dads maybe didn't grow up with that, or maybe didn't have uh, you know our fathers or men around us like don't show a lot of care to their family. In a way, it's like a lot of withholding because they don't want to show emotions and stuff. But like I think that it's this is by making a meal, I'm showing care to my family. I'm showing generosity. I'm saying, look, I took the time to make this because I love you and I care about you, and I want you to prosper and be healthy and happy. So happy food makes happy kids, I think. And so we I'm doing this every day, and it's not just like preparing the food. It's just like I'm just trying to help my family thrive. Um and I take pride in this, and I feel like I'm becoming the hero of in my family in a way, one meal at a time. I'm not going to be this hero that's going to be like, come in and save the day, like save the family, in one fell swoop. That's not what I don't think that's what it's about. I think it's about, you're showing up meal after meal, preparing these things and making it easier for your family to be healthy and happy. So the journey has been tough, and I'm still learning how to do this. It's not like it's easy. I get exhausted sometimes by cooking. It's exhausting, especially when it's hot, like being behind a stove, and it's just easier for someone else to cook. And that's true. And I do try to like not tighten the grip so hard on the kitchen. I feel like having a looser grip has been a lot easier for me mentally, but also for the family too. Like we get to go experience and try new foods, and going out to eat once in a while. We do go out to eat at least once a week, which is great, and we do eat like leftovers, and so it's been great. And I think it's something that if you're interested in becoming a dad cook, I think you can. I think it's possible. You're in control of the situation, and I really believe in you. So that's it. That's a little bit about my journey. If you like this, say, write in the comments more. If you don't, that's fine. But I'm gonna keep doing these lives, see how it goes. I don't know. We'll check it out. All right. Have a beautiful day. Bye now.